actually conservative. Hey, I'm here with an actual conservative, Senator Shane Jett. I told you I'd try to loop some other people in here. So, what do you think so far? It's a different setting, different kind of structured forum.
Well, after the CD1 candidate forum up at Rogers State that I hosted, I thought they did a very innovative format. I thought that was the most innovative that I've seen so
What did they do
far.
differently there?
And just the way they rotated through the questions, it was just the format was not your everyone answered the same question,
Right.
which I thought, oh, that might be a disaster. It was fantastic.
Okay.
Done well, there's great banter. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That turned out really well. So I thought that's the most innovative. Tonight blows it out.
Yeah, no.
You know, having the kids to ask all the questions, it's a great way to cut through the advocate activists, the shrill group that just wants to dominate,
Right.
and just let kids ask questions. And if their parents want to encourage them, ask this or that, but it's the kids get to ask those questions.
Yeah.
So hats off to Lisa Janlou for putting together
that's
a
great.
program that's genuinely authentic.
Mhm.
And watching the interaction with the candidates and the students they clearly have their own thoughts. They put some thoughts into the question that they're going to ask, and
Right.
I loved it.
I
This
think
was
it's good.
fantastic.
It is,
We should
yeah.
do that for every state.
I know. I wish they would have done some governor forums like this.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
now your daughter, she had a chance to ask a question.
She just
what did she
finished
ask?
So her question was about career tech.
Okay.
And so I'm a career tech graduate from 1993.
Okay.
Applied computer accounting, counting beans with a computer. Very nice.
Right. Back in the day.
So she was asking, like, is there going to be a focus on allocating resources towards those students who are on the non-traditional college track that want to get a trade? And so asking both candidates that question was what was on her mind, because she's within the home state group, and a lot of them avail themselves of the career tech training opportunities. Right. And so that was the question that she asked, and both of them handled it really well. And I thought it was a great question.
It is a great question. I think that's where a lot of minds are thinking is, how long do some of these careers have with AI before they're completely obliterated? I mean, replaced with computers and robotics. And, you go to the career tech, and that's where the meat of it is, these skills that will probably last forever. I mean,
which interesting you bring up AI, because that was the question they asked just before. One of the young men that was asking questions was, what are we going to do about AI? How are we going to regulate it? How are we going to? And both candidates agreed that it's here to stay. And for me, everything's new, but nothing really changes. AI for this generation is what the internet was for our generation.
Right.
It was, what are we going to do with the internet?
Yeah.
Just log on and find information.
Y2K, remember Y2K?
And at the end of the day, we're harnessing tools to maximize our productivity, to get information. So you're going to find people that are going to use it to bypass learning, and you're going to get those that use it to enhance learning.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we got to make sure that we're growing in such a way that it doesn't do more damage than good.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's just a tool, and anything that's a tool can also be a weapon.
That's good.
It depends on what human being is doing.
There you go. Who's holding it? Yep. Of course, that could easily segue into a conversation about data centers, but we won't do that just yet because this is focusing on school.
Yeah.
But I guess you could ask the question, I mean, if we are going to integrate AI more into our public school systems, will we need a data center dedicated for that purpose alone? I mean, I don't know. Maybe we'll hold on to that. The first question asked, I thought it was interesting. They went straight for the Bible question.
Yes.
What do you think about teaching the Bible in class?
Yes.
And I thought Dr. Taylor answered it spot on. It's
yes, he answered it like
history.
A conservative Republican, and his opponent answered it like a liberal Democrat, which he is. And it's interesting because you can see in the crowd, those that are wearing the Robert Franklin tags are Sean Cummings, Jamie Cole, all of the far left, those that have been attacking all the efforts to try to underscore that you cannot understand or comprehend American history and foundation without understanding how the role of the Bible influenced all of our founders. And it's completely lost on Franklin, but it's clear. And no one wants the public schools to be teaching religion. That's not the point.
Right.
We want to teach American history in a way that actually lays the foundation for how it was formed, why it was formed, why are all the freedoms that every single religious group are enjoying are directly tied to those liberties that were codified and inspired by the Word of God. So It was clear there was a bifurcation between the two candidates. I was accosted by one of the candidate's spouses who said, I wanted to introduce myself because you endorsed my opponent. And I said, well, yes, ma'am. I only endorse actual Republicans and not those who pretend to be. And she didn't like that. But the truth is, you have Democrats who are trying to run as Republicans. About a third of the Senate Republican caucus, I don't believe Jake could pass a polygraph that they're actually pro-life. So we have a crisis here in Oklahoma, and this race in particular, it's a struggle for the heart and soul of Oklahoma. Are we truly a red state that votes conservative? Are we going to pretend to be Republican and continue to elect individuals like Joy Hoffmeister who do not share our values, that ran as Republican until the opportunity to run and show her true color? So this is what's going on right now. Are Republicans going to get out and vote? Or are we going to be overwhelmed by the teacher unions and the educrats or advocates or whatever they are, the shrill group of union teacher ideologues who simply want to wrest control away from conservatives and put it back in the hands of the NEA ideology? This is one of the single most important races in the state of Oklahoma.
Man, I couldn't agree more. It's like you said, this deals directly with our kids' future. And, it's interesting watching some of the students. I like to, as I'm listening to the answers, I like to watch them and who they nod in agreement with. And because what that usually tells me is what kind of home they come from.
That's true.
And I think that if we don't, as conservatives, take a hard stand, preach the truth clearly, be bold, well, we will go the way of California. We'll go the way of Colorado.
That's right.
Both of them used to be conservative states.
That's correct.
And
Ronald Reagan was the governor of California
right,
in the 1960s. That's right.
Yeah. So I was just looking through some of the other. It was interesting. I thought it was funny when Dr. Taylor was asked, why did he say he was a white Christian nationalist?
Yeah.
Of course, he was saying it in jest, sarcastically, probably saying that, well, obviously they haven't seen my picture or met me because I'm clearly not white.
Yeah.
So did you hear any questions from the kids that surprised you? Or I got pulled away and I didn't get to hear all the questions. There was some emphasis on bullying.
Yes.
And a question I thought was interesting was it was asked, how will you protect kids from bullying both at school and online?
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen some strong overreach from our public schools that I believe I would call it overreach when someone is texting or engaging on social media outside of school hours.
Yes.
And then there's repercussions for their post at school.
Yes.
Should that be? I don't think so.
Well, here is in that exact line of questioning that raised my eyebrows, and I think is going to be concerning to a lot of parents whenever they begin to contemplate the answer that Robert Franklin gave. The young lady who said she had been subject to bullying and these types of things and was concerned, had some mental health crises that was a concern to her. He gave her a juvenile in school his personal mobile number. If that doesn't raise red flags, and I think profoundly differentiate between conservatives who want to parent their children, not outsource it to some ideologue from the public school, and those advocates and those who feel like they know better than the parents. Yeah. Because I think one of the big takeaways here was his go-to answer was to provide his personal mobile number to a minor publicly. What is he doing privately? We tried to pass legislation to stop that. In fact,
I thought it did pass it, not?
Well, their state representative ran a bill to try to get rid of it. It was one of his big talking points. He was an FFA ag teacher, principal from Tecumseh Public Schools, incredibly low score when a conservative index, and he's trying to gut that bill. At the end of the day, there's something wrong with adults in a state institution who want to privately bypass parents and go directly to the child to talk to them about their mental health issues. This is a concern. And I think it's a huge bifurcation between the liberal approach to what the purpose of the public schools is, to provide reading, writing, and arithmetic, not to begin to work through mental health crises. And that is a slippery slope that I think differentiates true conservatives from the government knows best. I'm from the government. I'm here to help. I have all of these PhDs and these things that will allow me to better answer these questions
Right.
than your own parents. But adults trying to insert themselves into the private lives of children by sharing private communications between them and the child is a red flag and should be very concerning to Oklahoma public school parents making a decision who they want in the driver's seat at the Oklahoma State Department of Education.
That's a good point. It's a good point. And I've always said that one of the things that distinguishes Republicans from Democrats is using government to show love. And I've always said it's not the government's job to love you. It's the government's job to ensure free men stay free.
That's correct.
And there's I think a twisting and perversion of Christian love expressed through the government, which ceases then to become Christian love. It's not the role of government. So we see this expressed in many ways. One of them is this wraparound services approach to schools, social emotional learning. Mission creep, exactly.
But here's the other thing, and people don't understand. They're like, there's a chasm between socialism and communism. No, there's not. It's progression.
Mm-hmm.
Lenin made it very clear. The purpose of socialism is to achieve communism. And what we have with this wraparound, government provides for everything, it is a de facto violation of a number of the 10 Commandments. So one, it violates, thou shalt have no other God before me. When you have an omnipresent surveillance state, omnipotent, all-powerful, all-knowing, that becomes a de facto deity. And whenever you go to government in supplication for what you need, I need to not be bullied, I need food. I mean, some of the kids were asking questions about, there's going to be free and reduced lunches available. Right. Those types of things was never the intent of our public school system. The public school system was to teach reading, writing, arithmetic so you can be functioning adults and be able to think critically, not to provide what your family was not providing you. And quite frankly, it's an impetus on parents to do what they need to do to make sure there's food on the table instead of outsourcing that to the community around them that are taking care of business. Yeah. And so the allowing the public school to be the first encounter of the family and shunting off the responsibility to put food on your family's table is not the role of government. These are the types of things that split when you have a conservative who understands your rights come from God. And you go to God for what you need. They're not given to you by government. Yeah. When government begins to provide all of those things according to the riches that they extract from property owners, instead of God providing it according to his riches and glory, that's the bifurcation.
It really is. It really is. And then therefore, the conservative approach to education is, let's focus on academics. Let's keep it narrowly focused. I mean, limited government.
Hold it accountable.
Limited government
mission.
Yeah, limited government in a public school is academic focus.
Right.
See, Deborah Campbell, she's making her way out. Obviously, her big focus is keeping healthcare clinics out of our school related topics.
Well, right? Yeah, absolutely. Holding the schools to what their purpose. Otherwise, they're going to continue to grow until they morph and control everything in your local community. Yeah. You go there for the nurse, you go there for the doctor, you go for mental health evaluations, you go there to get your gender assignment from your local counselor.
Yeah. Your vaccine.
Yeah. So all of these things is why this race is so important. Because clearly one side, re-registered Republican, hoping he could trick people into voting for him like a Joy Hoffmeister. Yeah. And the other one is a core conservative who understands the conservative core values that make the United States great and can make Oklahoma great. But remember, we're still recovering from 100 years of Democrat control of this state.
Sure.
Those ballooning budgets, those ratios, even the formula that they like to tout, the formula, those were created by Democrats, not Republicans. And what we have right now is the Democrat Party, and you look at Sean Cummings, Jamie Cole, all of those far left agitators are here with Robert Franklin signs on. Right. The Democratic Party clearly has a candidate in this Republican runoff. Yeah. And wake up, Oklahoma. If you don't want a Democrat running your public schools, you'd better vote for James Taylor.
I'll second that. Let me just mention two things I really caught on.
My wife tells me to smile.
On James Taylor's answer, because it was asked about let me see, how can you prevent smoking weed vapes in public schools? I loved his answer. He said, well, it's the school's responsibility. So he puts that back on the local school district to be responsible for those they oversee. And he also said, let me see, I think it was over here about uh, special ed kids and bullying. I think it was connected to bullying and things like that. And he said we have to have more parental involvement. And I just love that. It's like, you've got to come back to the parents are ultimately responsible.
Mm-hmm.
How do we help improve grades? Well, ultimately, we need parents that are engaged. How do we deal with bullying? Well, the parents need to be involved in that too.
That's right.
And so the more we put the parents at the forefront as the ones responsible, we empower parents that way.
Yeah.
But we involve them in the process, and we don't just lump that over into the responsibilities of public schools.
That's right. Well, here's the other thing that I think is very interesting, Jake. It's kind of insidious, is this idea that the government knows best, and in the context of public schools, it is an agency of the government. And what we find in a lot of the cases where we'll get calls in our Senate office where a child was bullied and bullied and bullied. The parents reported it. The administration didn't do anything. And finally, a kid who just got tired of being run over decks the guy that's doing it.
Right, or worse.
And all hell breaks loose on the kid who finally stood up for himself.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but the idea that a government entity has to intervene for you to stand up for yourself is socialist at its core. It's anti-American. And so what needs to happen before that child has to stand up for themselves is the schools need to create an environment where it's not tolerated. But the moment somebody has to stand up for themselves because the school is derelict, then you can't bring all the ton of the weight of the institution down on the person who stood up for themselves.
Yeah, right.
Because you have a fundamental right to stand up for yourself. That's where our rights come from. It comes from God, not doled out to you by the superintendent or the school board or state laws. It comes from God. And one of the fundamental rights that Americans have, whether a child or an adult, is to defend themselves.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Now, I was talking to a gentleman the other day, and he brought up truancy officers from the past.
Mm-hmm.
And those gentlemen that would be there at school, and if you didn't show up, they'd go collect you. They'd go and hold your parents accountable. And so it really provoked a lot of thoughts with me saying, okay, is there a role and a need for that right now? And again, how much do we hold the parents responsible for kids not showing up to school, for bullying in school, for vaping, drug use, on and on and on? The parents are ultimately responsible. Mm-hmm. So I'm just wondering, even from a legislative perspective, should there be fines? Should there be, what kind of consequences should we have for parents?
Well, I think there should be consequences when you have egregious manifestations of bad judgment in parenting. We have those rules in place. If you egregiously injure your child, then you've abdicated your responsibility as a parent, and the state has to step in. But it's easier, Jake, to take a child away from a parent in Oklahoma than it is to take a gun away from a citizen.
Yeah.
And if you would ask any sentient human being, what is more important, a child or a gun? Mm-hmm. They would say, my child is more important, but I need my gun to defend the child, right? And so what we have to do is think through the policies. You're asking the right policy questions. Is truancy officers, is that the right answer? And quite frankly, if I decide to take a field trip with my children from a public school and decide to go and teach them something of my own, and I have a truancy officer showing up, so no, we have a right to your child.
Sure. No.
Yeah, I think the Second Amendment might pop in right there. So I think it's healthy to have these conversations, and these conversations being had, and it's interesting and insightful to see the children asking those questions as they grapple with them. And that's the reason why it's important. Who's the state superintendent?
Yeah.
Who is your local superintendent, which is appointed by your elected school board? And what is their ideology? Are they putting in ideology that's common sense, that is scripture-based, which means it's American-based, which is common sense-based, it's truth-based? Those types of things are important. Again, this election is vital because the Democrat Party has made a play by coming in with a Trojan horse shield candidate, pretending to be a Republican for the sole purpose of turning back all of the conservative gains we have and re-emphasizing OEA/NEA ideology into the classroom. This is a struggle for the heart and soul of the classroom and your kids. Vote for James Taylor.
Again, I echo that. Senator Jett, appreciate you.
Always a pleasure, brother.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to hit pause on this one. We're going to go out there. It looks like they're wrapping up. We're going to say goodbye to the candidates and the people. But hey, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.